Welcome, everyone, to Three of the Best. This is a show by some way too invested fans, but it's a soccer show, although we know what we're doing, so we're only going to call it soccer just this once. It's football. That's what we're talking about. We'll explore the world of football in relation to American sports, bring on guests from all facets of the game and the footy content world at large, and make predictions for what we want to happen next. If you're an argumentative and delusional fan, this is the place for you. I'm Ben. I'm a writer at Stadium Rant, and I'm an avid Arsenal fan. I've learned to live with the pain while continuing to think of the next season. I played football for a little bit growing up, wasn't going to be the next Pulisic, and moved on. Now I just watch it. Now
I'm Raf.
co-hosts.
I'm Raphael. Also go by Raf. I'm a big PSG fan, not a bandwagon because I'm actually French, but also support Arsenal to not make my dear friend Ben feel so alone. And I play football around New York City. I love the community around the game.
I'm Caleb. I'm from Chicago, and as you can see, I'm a Man United fan. Unfortunately, I'm the lone Man United fan in the group, but I also live in pain, just like you two Arsenal fans. But my team does have achievements to look back on. I grew up watching football heavily, and I'm learning about the tactical side of the game in my free time. And I am currently a struggling football manager addict.
I was talking with Caleb a little bit about Football Manager. So you're saying that there's no new game that's coming out until when?
Yeah. And so basically, they start switching game engines, like from whatever engine they were using, I think, to like Unreal or something like that. And they messed up the game so badly that they basically said, "Okay, all right, guys, we're just gonna put a pause on this, and we'll come back to you like next season." So they just sent out a software update that updates just all the different rosters and things of that sort. But other than that, we haven't gotten a new game, so I'm a little bit scared. But hopefully they pull it together, because I'd rather have a good game that they took their time with versus some really rushed stuff and then it's just unplayable.
Ref, I know that because you're like an athlete, you probably don't play that many video games like Caleb and I do. Unreal Engine is this very high end graphics machine that I don't know if you know Batman, I think Arkham Knight, a lot of really beautiful games are made in Unreal, which begs the question, Caleb, you're just watching these guys play. You're not even playing the game.
Yes. That's why
does it matter if it looks so good?
That's what I'm confused about. I don't even care really that much about, I hit the sim and then, watching the players move around. I don't really care about that per se. I mainly care about, the financial side and then, putting together my tactics. That's what I enjoy, and that's why I find joy in the game. So I'm a little bit confused on why they're doing all of this, but, to each their own, but it is a bit annoying that I have to wait for a new game.
You mentioned tactics, and it's kind of something that we could get into because really for one of our first segments, what do you think? I think this is a good idea to sort of talk about the common concept that football is losing its flair, probably to a lot of video game players who think they could be managers like Caleb, who basically go, no, it needs to be 4-4-1, and then set it up, inverting. I think you used the word inverting at least 3 times earlier in our conversations, and I appreciate it. But no, I want to put it to you guys. Do you think that football is losing its flair? Raf, when you're playing in the streets, playing in the streets, yeah, dude. When you're playing in the streets, when you're just playing in Central Park, when you're playing in a very nice park, are you seeing people really bring some style to it, or are people genuinely more tactical? I know it's not 11v11, but are people thinking like that, or?
Yes, usually it's more like a 6v6 kind of vibe, and it's not really tactical. We'll try to play outfit from the back. We'll try to have somewhat of a structure, but it's not like many Peps out here. By the way, I blame Pep for this boring style of football, because he did change the game, with Barcelona, with the false nine, Messi, but now with City, it's just I feel like there's so many copycats. Like Arteta is trying to be like Pep, when bro, you're not Pep, so stop trying to be like him. I think that. The worst part was last summer watching the Euro. I was bored out of my mind. It's felt like watching a chess game, which I enjoy playing, but I don't want to watch. I want to see flair. I want to see a young Brazilian. I'm also not in the Euros, but I want to see a young fearless lad go out on the wing and do some takeovers. But unfortunately, it's not the case. So I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think Pep is to blame, and just this super structured format that doesn't really allow players to be free truly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like you see it. Honestly, I've been hearing like U9s and a lot of academy teams, they're playing much more robotically, which is, it does sort of also lend itself to the idea that like what academy you grow up in, sort of where you're from, does sort of influence your style of play in some ways. But I to your point, it was a little bit boring watching the Euros, and I mean, I don't think that was down to tournament play, because there were plenty of tournaments that happened in the past summer that were extremely exciting to watch. I mean, I think that Yamal is extremely talented, but at the same time, like, he stood out so much because of the lack of real flair in the tournament, as opposed to just what he was doing, as well as his age.
I completely agree with what Raph was saying. Like, the problem that we have is kids aren't, this is gonna make me sound like an old head, but like kids aren't, going outside and trying stuff. Like, it's really like when even in the academies, like Barca kind of, I'm not gonna say revolutionized this, because a lot of the stuff that Pep had, he just took from Johan Cruyff, but we can get into that in a different episode. But like him kind of taking, but like kind of training the kids in one style from as soon as they walk into.
Sorry, what? Right.
As soon as they walk into the academy, it kind of like takes away this ability for them to say like, hey, maybe let me try this like flick and let's see if it works, or let me try this run and may not make a lot of sense, but let's see if it creates space, or things of that sort. And it makes it a little bit harder for them to kind of like think on the fly, where like for example, like watching Real Madrid under Ancelotti the past couple of years, where they have a formation, they play like a 4-3-3 holding, I want to say, but it's very fluid. There's no like, there's no like, we need you to play this formation, or we need you to stay in this position, and then like Vinny just like hug the touchline the entire time, or things of that sort. They're like switching the front three, they're switching positions like in the final third. People in the midfield are able to kind of free roam a little bit once they get past half field. Like, it's really just like a lot of it makes it a lot more fun to watch, and that's why they're so exciting. Just these comebacks that they're able to pull off, mainly because if you're playing a highly like tactically like rigid team, then when like things get a little dicey, then you can, like, a team that's able to adjust really quickly and take their time and kind of adjust on the fly. It then allows them to exploit that a little bit. I.e., that when was it Man City? Was that Man City Real when they blew that?
Oh, when they
put the 2-0, or
no? What are you talking about? Like, it was like 3-2 in the 85th or something.
Oh, Brahim, not Brahim.
You had that Benzema and Rodrigo.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's a situation that's like the perfect like encapsulation of that. Like, some like they're like, okay, we have a game plan, follow the game plan, but the saying, like, everyone has a game plan until they get hit in the mouth. And I feel like having that like tactical flexibility, like it does wonders for you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I think like, it doesn't have to be black or white, where like two schools, like one school is a super like structured format where everyone like stays in their lane, and the other one is like super free flowing. Because in Madrid, they're very free flowing, but oftentimes that like a structure, the so-called vibes football has led to them, not being able to hold up the score, not being able to come back, and just like kind of seeming lost. I think a great example of the mix of both is Enrique's current PSG, which I love. They're making me love watching my team again. Like, seeing Kurara and Doué switch from the left to the right, seeing Dembele now like in more of like a 10 position instead of being only on the wing. I think the way he's like, because he has clearly a structure, but he still allows players to take on other players. He lets Kurara and Doué be creative and be themselves. I think that finding that nuance is really important.
And they are an unbelievable team to watch. You're right. It is sort of like a throwback, because you're watching exciting football. It's weird that Pep is both associated with the robotic sort of like, let me tell you everything's going to happen in the game type of football, but at the same time, like, did produce the most beautiful football, technically speaking, I think, and what a lot of people would say in time. And I mean, I think that Enrique has sort of taken that same Barcelona, more Cruyff influential style. Same with Guardiola. I believe they played in the same team together, right? In the 90s.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
And so, like, you are seeing that in this incredible French team that has a lot of French talent. It's not just sort of like a lot of PSG people say, yeah, they buy all their talent from all. This is a French team with a Georgian winger who does a lot. and an Italian goalkeeper. Uh, and a Brazilian center back.
All right.
No, but it raises an interesting question because obviously since PSG beat Arsenal, I'm rooting for them in the Champions League final. Also because it's good. It would be good to see beautiful football win the day. Not that Inter doesn't play some beautiful football, they do, but it's on the counter, so it's just much more rare to see. And so the glimpses don't really give you that same beautiful effect that I think you do when you watch PSG around the box. But the thing is, Ligue 1 gets disrespected. And I'm sorry about my pronunciation already. Gets disrespected, obviously. And I mean, both broadcasting and sort of just casual fans. And I kind of want to throw it out. Do you think that PSG winning the Champions League is going to sort of change the reputation of the French domestic league? Or do you think it's just sort of with Bayern, right? Where they still have a lot of international success, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people look at the Bundesliga with the same sort of fair light that they might look at the Premier League?
That's a great question. I think it's more so going to make PSG's a team more legitimate because for a while we're kind of like the joke of Europe, right? We spend all this money, we're owned by Qatar, oil money, etc. Kind of like City, but we can't win it. And
throw that out there.
And now we're actually able to, I hope, win it. I think the issue is that we're steamrolling other teams in the whole league. And you could say that City is kind of doing the same thing in the Prem, right? I think they won 5 of the past 6. It's been Liverpool. But still, the Prem is more competitive. You have like the 2 to like 5, 6 can compete in the top 3 of any top 5 league. Actually, PSG, have Marseille, Lyon. It's not the same thing. I think other teams have to also try to keep their players because if you look at like most leagues, most of the top leagues, top players come from Liga. Like Rennes alone, Rafinha, Doku, Dembele, Doué, like they're all from Rennes, so they're able to. They obviously have talent. It's a matter of being able to develop it and to keep it in the country, which is tough when you have the Prem and the allure of the money and all that. But I want to know what Caleb thinks and what you think, Ben.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest part. It's just like it's the money aspect, man. Because like at the end of the day, we could go through all the top 5 leagues. Besides maybe the Prem, it's all concentrated at the top with like maximum 3 teams. Like even in the Bundesliga, like the only reason why it got as semi-competitive as it did is because Dortmund fell off a bit, and then Leverkusen was able to take that spot, and then now Bayern has a direct competitor. But other than that, like mainly like all the rest of these leagues for the most part are controlled by maybe 2 or 3 teams. Like let's say like 3 teams who have a legitimate chance of winning. Like they're you really can't name it like that. Like the Prem recently is probably the most competitive. Like I can't say the most competitive because obviously City's won the league like a stupid amount of times over the past few years. But at least it's gotten a little bit better where it's come down.
I mean, I do think though that the reason people think the Prem is so competitive is that I think they watch the Prem. Like if you really watch the Prem and you follow a team like we all follow a team in the Prem, the competition is so good. And it's so good because, to Raf's point, like they're taking the B lists and the C lists from these French talented teams and other places and finding the data like Brentford and Brighton do and getting the best out of their players and finding these gems. And I think that it might be actually kind of an interesting head-to-head if you guys sort of talk about, like, what if players couldn't move clubs before the age of 23? Let's say we're seeing a lot of 16-year-olds literally get taken from Ecuador and put into the middle of London. So, like, I mean, I wonder what the world would sort of be like because I think they sort of self-regulated that. And then I think Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, sort of broke that mold, being so young and making those big money moves. And I just don't think it's stopped. So, yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like human trafficking. Yeah, like some like little 15-year-olds from like the favelas of Rio going to Madrid. They're scoping out the
We'll
the
cut
players.
that. No, we won't. Napoli, I'm so sorry.
No, but I mean, and actually, I think that question is also even more pertinent now with multi-club like ownership model, where City and Chelsea can kind of like have these like 3 clubs where they kind of like can farm different players and move them around. I think first of all, I mean, obviously there'd be much more stability in terms of the club's growth and club's development. And say you have like a batch of players from, like, say you take like a Monaco or I actually had like all these like top players, and they stay there for a few years. They keep competing, they keep getting better. They might not want to leave, and they might actually want to build there which would, in my opinion, make football more interesting. Because today, like I feel like the best players are going through the same like five clubs, like Madrid, Barca, PSG, City, Arsenal, whatever.
Nice.
Whereas there will often be, I got you.
It was
There will often be
waiting.
more kind of like evenly spread out, which I think would make for a better for better matches, more competition, and less of a concentration of top players in the same like five or six clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny. MLS gets a lot of flack in the sense that people criticize it for not having that promotion relegation model and having the salary caps and having all of these restrictions that sort of limit quality and competition, and yet sort of turn a blind eye to the fact that there is kind of a bit of an oligopoly going on in football, especially as transfers get higher and higher. I mean, like Raph, to your point again, speaking of that Monaco team, I believe the Campos Monaco team that had Mbappe, Bernardo Silva,
Bakayoko, what else?
Uh,
Fabinho, yeah, a bunch of guys.
I mean, it's
Mendy, yeah.
that team was class.
yeah, insane. And I mean, I think maybe what was it, 4 years ago, maybe 2021, Lyon beat Man City in the Champions League and went, I think, to the semis. Was it?
Yeah. They lost to Bayern. They beat City and Juventus that year.
Like there is talent in each year. Honestly, I mean, you even look at it in sort of the Morocco's late run in the World Cup as well. Like just there is so much talent that exists that can perform. And you're right, it does sort of get congregated at the top. But is there really any way to fix that? Because the owners aren't going to start giving more equity to other leagues. I mean, to your point, I don't know. I really don't know, Raph. Maybe you know. Like, I think there's a somewhat equitable broadcast revenue sharing program that happens in the Premier League. Is that familiar? Is that similar in France, or does PSG kind of dominate?
I don't know the one for PSG in particular. I mean, for Liga in particular. I know. I think the one for Spain and for Spain. I know for Spain they kind of divided by like half of it is shared equally. A quarter of it is shared by like which teams had like the most like stadium attendance, and then a quarter of it based on like historical standing, so kind of like the most popular teams. And I think that Liga is probably similar, but I mean with the current like TV rights fiasco, I'm not sure there's gonna be even enough money to go around, so it's gonna be an issue as well.
I mean, you were the Uber Eats League, then you were the McDonald's. I think I don't know. I think Pizza Hut is getting some French on the menu.
Yeah, five guys League on, yeah.
Five Guys League. Oh man, yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult. You sort of do talk about like, can you? We make predictions, and sort of the predictions do usually say like the top teams are going to win it. I mean, and then we make fun of like Carragher and Neville for being like, you thought Man United was going to win. I mean, you do it all the time. But like, I don't know. There's weird stuff. Like football genuinely does have a lot of luck to it, which I think does kind of go under the radar, because if people talk about how much luck is involved in football, it sort of discredits a lot of like the work that managers do. But you find like weird shit in football all the time. Which actually I think kind of is a good thing to lead into segment number 3, which is oddities in football, because we were talking, I think last week, about a certain connection between the papacy and the success of the host countries. You like soccer, like football, and I mean, I did some deeper digging. It's unbelievable. I mean, right before you got to like right, we basically the prediction. We're going to get to predictions, but like the USMNT is going to probably go far in the World Cup 2026 for no other reason, not the Argentinian manager that has experience or the budding talent that people keep saying we have. It is because the Pope is now American. And if you think that I'm making that up, there are some eerie similarities. So late Pope Francis, rest in peace, Argentinian, took over in 2013. The year later, they made the World Cup, lost, but then in his reign won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup. And you're like, that's what also, interestingly, Pope Francis, he didn't like watch TV. I think he made some type of deal with a saint of some kind. I'm not going to pretend I know the saint, but he was a big San Lorenzo fan, which was his local boyhood club. And I think he would have like the gendarme or like one of the like guards, the Vatican guards, tell him like the scores because he couldn't watch it. So it's funny to think that like there was so much going on in Argentina, so much celebrating, and he just sort of like enjoyed it, but from a distance, differently, and not watching it live. Like I'm sure he had a different thing, but Pope Benedict which I don't know if you guys remember, if you're even familiar with really. He was like 2005 to 2013. He was German. And interestingly, the German men's national team didn't really do all that much in that time. But the women's national team won 3 World Cups in a row, I think. No, wait, hold on. Sorry, no, 3 Euros. Literally 3 Euros in a row. 2005, 2009, and 2013, the last year that Pope Benedict. And then he quit, which is interesting. And honestly, just the last one that I found, which was crazy. So John Paul II, John DePaul, he was Pope from 1978 to 2005. He was Polish, the first Pole to be Pope. And interestingly, from the 70s and 80s, that was considered Poland's golden age of football. They went to the quarterfinals of the World Cup in 78. They finished 3rd in 82. And then there was like a 36-year gap, which I think does sort of end. But the thing is, to be fair, before John Paul, I think it was 455 straight years of Italian Pope. So kind of like can't really look at that the same way. I tried to make like an AC Milan connection, but there's literally half a millennia of Italian popes. I find down that as like a eerie conspiracy. But yeah, isn't that insane? Like, why?
Yeah. Also, one thing I'll add: the current pope, his father is of French and Italian heritage, and the current Champions League finalists are French and Italian teams. Just a little extra layer to that.
That's wild. I bet that's what he said when he addressed the people on that balcony. He was like, by the way, the Champions League final. Like my dad. No, that is incredible. I also like that people are like, oh my God, an American Pope. I mean, I know he speaks, I think, many, many languages.
Yeah, he speaks like 5 or something.
I think he's going to be like the Messi of popes, where he does not, he refuses to speak English. He'll be like, no. He'll say Michelob Ultra. And that's all he's going to say.
Nays?
No, Michelob Ultra. That's all Messi did. Billions of dollars. Yeah. No, I don't know. Do you guys know any like other weird things? Football's full of just weird coincidences. Like,
but honestly, before we go on that, I just want to. So obviously, also after Benedict, like the year after Germany wins the men win the World Cup.
Exactly.
But I want to, and I guess here that the idea is that the U.S. men would win it in 26. I'm looking at the 2014 squad that Germany had. You had Neuer, you had Vlam, Schweinsteiger, Muller, Kroos. 2022, you have Messi.
Didn't Miroslav close? Wasn't that his last tournament?
That was his last tournament. That's where I think he passed.
Broke the record, right?
Yeah. Most goals.
Yeah.
In 22, you have Di Maria, you have Messi, you have Martinez. The U.S. men's stars right now is Pulisic, McKennie, and Weah. So unless like Lamine Yamal becomes American somehow in the next 2 years, I don't know if it's gonna happen. But we'll see.
We have to pull Qatar. We have to pull Qatar and pay people to switch their citizenship.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. I mean, I'm convinced. I think like that could. I mean, it obviously can't work. But I wasn't even going to say it could work. I was going to say something different just to clarify. I don't think that would ever work. But like, we could make a late run. I mean, it's wishful thinking, honestly, that the U.S. men's go far because if we succeed in this tournament, the last time the World Cup was in the States, it was 94 to coincide with the founding of MLS. And I think that America is due for a new sort of football revolution. I mean, I think that it's such an accessible game. It's getting more and more televised, not Liga, but the other ones. And and like basically I think there's a lot of pressure. Like the thing about Qatar was I think they finished on 0 points.
Yeah, correct. They lost. They got groups. They didn't win any. They didn't win any games. They were. Was it them who? I think they played Argentina.
Wait, who?
Were they the ones who played Argentina?
No, that's Saudi Arabia.
Sorry. Because I was like,
Qatar. Qatar.
They gave them all Rolls Royces.
And they celebrated as a national holiday or something.
They celebrated as a national holiday, and all the players got Rolls Royces.
I bet Qatar was so mad. I mean, I heard about like when North Korea, I think, qualified in 2010. Like I think they also finished with 0 points. Obviously, it was televised. Like they took the Brazil-Germany scoreline and they just put it as North Korea. I think is what happened. But no, they brought the players home and then they publicly shamed them for like 6 straight hours in a stadium filled with people in Pyongyang. So
it's rough.
Yeah, it obviously is rough. And so I think that if America, kidding, like
It's like send him to the White House.
There's something about the
Alcatraz.
mentality. No, like I mean, I obviously hope that they go far, but I don't know. I think, Raph, to your point, there's all the talent we thought we had is just not panning out. Gio Reyna, who might even be talented, and I think he really is, has either had injuries or like his dad was beefing with the coach.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
What was that situation? Because
during the World Cup, too, like they didn't know the beef
20-year
existed before the World Cup.
Yeah, and the dad beef from before, like the dad had beef from before, with Claudio Reyna and
Claudio Reyna and
Greg
Greg had
Berhalter.
20 years, but he had like they had longer than like 50 Cent and John Rule.
American, it was literally, it was a beef that lasted even before footy was relevant in this country by a long shot.
Like they were beefing, and then people would be like, "I don't understand what you do." Literally, like at the time, like we don't even understand what was going on.
No,
but ended up bleeding over into their son, who was like 18 years old.
He was like 18.
He's literally a child.
By the way,
he's a child.
We've all been 18. There's probably nothing more of a nightmare than, because you know what happened? Like, apparently there was a vote. There was a vote in like, the U.S. camp and at Qatar that was like, should Gio go or stay? And they voted for him to stay. But it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that is some Mean Girls thing. You like, okay, Gio, leave the room.
high school shit. Yeah.
Literally, this is why we're not going to win the World Cup ever, man. We're dealing with this crap.
But Ben, I want to add to your point about how in '94 you mentioned how there was, it was in the U.S. and it's kind of an impetus to the MLS. I think that honestly, like the sport is becoming very, very big in the U.S. And if I pick up both in New York City and Paris, honestly, like the levels aren't really like that much off. Like there's a lot of great talent in New York City. I think a lot of it is also driven by like immigration. Like people from Africa, from South America, that are obviously from Eastern Europe and whatnot. They're obviously super into the sport. They're bringing that here, and I'm seeing like a lot of like really good talent here. So I think that's only gonna obviously with Messi, coming to the MLS, is adding another shining light onto the league. And we're seeing more young Americans go to Europe to play. We're seeing it's not like Madrid is gonna organize tryouts this summer in the US. So I do think there's kind of like a movement happening, and I'm here for it. I think it's great to see the sport grow in this country.
I mean,
I could. Oh,
good. Sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
No, all good. I was just gonna say, like, Raph, I completely agree with you, and I feel like also just adding on to your point, I feel like another way like that the U.S. men's team one thing they've been doing really well is taking advantage of these dual citizenship players, because like having like these players where they're trained in the Bundesliga, in Liga, and the Prem, all these different places, and what they might be English and American, French American, Spanish American, all these different things, and okay, maybe you're not the level of like playing for the German national team, but that's still a level above like whatever like the U.S. men's team is playing at. So coming over here and just basically like bolstering our squad in a way that we recently like have been able to, since they've all been basically like purebred Americans who obviously love playing love that you guys play football, but like that's like the second or third sport that you grew up playing. No, so it's like it's just not in there, not just like hasn't been ingrained in the culture.
And I mean, I sort of was basically about to say like. It's sort of something unique about America is that like other than like instead of people criticizing like, oh, you brought your players from abroad or blah blah blah, like the concept theoretically is that you come to the country and you sort of be made American. Like it works. There's not as much criticism on it. I think there is criticism, but like I think Europe sort of laughs at it and goes, okay, fine, take our rejects, which I don't think is great for the image, but especially if we're not succeeding, it's like, what's the like? But yeah, like to your point, like Clint Dempsey is from Texas. It's very unlikely that his dad was like, I'm so thrilled that you put down the football helmet and took out the football boots. That's what I wanted for you.
Yeah, and I also want to bounce off of Caleb's point about bringing like dual citizens, right, and trying to entice them. I remember for who was it? What's his face? The Arsenal went to Monaco.
Yes.
Bureth?
No, not Bureth.
I have his face in my head.
Balogun. A huge campaign to bring him to the US, which also is also a thing in Africa, right? You have these dual European African players coming to Africa, but I think one of the issues as well with relying on that is that so for example, like I'm from Cameroon originally, and there's an issue where they rely too much on trying to bring like dual like French Cameroonian players to play for Cameroon, but they're not actually spending enough time developing the grassroots
Mm.
football from like the ground up. Whereas somewhere like Morocco, like they've invested heavily into academies, into the coaching and training to be able to obviously take your Europeans, also have homegrown talent, because that's really how you'll grow the talent base of your country.
It's true. It also just goes to show you the faith that Africa has in its talent, because they also kind of spurn away players that fail at 25 to make it in like European international teams, and they go, okay, great, my grandfather's Nigerian. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think you said Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Caleb.
Yeah.
Anyway, but and to the credit, right? Like it does also say something. Like the U.S. doesn't seem to have that faith in its own ability, and I think they do know that it's diluted with the 4 other major sports that take a lot of youth talent away. But it is sort of a faith thing. Like they don't believe that they can sort of turn it around from a grassroots level, and I think that it's sort of, you're right, inversely related. And we're seeing a lot of young Africans make it through the fold now, like a Cuba Minte, for example.
Yeah, for sure.
I just want to sort of finish off with some predictions, because we're all pretty delusional. I'm going to out one of Caleb's because, I just found it to be so true and so correct. So Caleb predicted that 2028 Euros, Erik ten Hag will lead the Dutch national team to glory.
Oh,
yeah. You want to talk us through some of that? Or?
Okay. Okay. Here's why I think so. Like, obviously the Netherlands recently, we can even go all the way back to 2010. They've gotten pretty unlucky, just in terms of their in terms of their performances in both the Euros and in the World Cup, where they've had squads where they really should have done something and they haven't. And I think it's gonna come. I think their FA is probably gonna have a little bit of a situation where they're just like, let's try something new. ETH, he's sitting and waiting, and then we see if he comes in. And I feel like also, just in terms of, I feel like international football might also just might be better for him in terms of the way that he coaches, because he knows, because basically he's worked with like half the team already. He knows what they can do. It's easy. It'll be easy for him to implement his very specific style of football, and I think that they can pull it off. Hopefully, but we'll see. I'll put $1 on it, and if anyone wants to take it.
I mean, I'm not too much of a betting man, but yeah, I will bet you $1 for sure that Erik ten Hag is managing in Portugal by the time that the Netherlands wins something of note. I mean, just a slight to the point a little bit earlier, the Netherlands as well, a fantastic example of Surinamese descent, Dutch Surinamese descent, and sort of succeeding in that regard. And I mean, it was more of a natural immigration. I think that happens with a lot of countries, but again, like you're seeing it across all of the successful teams, no matter what. Like players, it's an international game, and it makes sense that it should be shared internationally. I mean, I kind of want to hear your Champions League predictions, because I mean, I obviously, Raf, I know what you're picking, which is completely fair, and I agree. But Caleb, I don't know why I think this, but I feel like you're probably an Inter Milan stan on this one. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, we did not rehearse that. That was an absolute guess.
Yes. Oh yeah. But I think I love the way they play. I think they can pull it off. They have the squad. I think they have the squad to do it. My thing is just like the thing that for them that what it really comes down to is execution, and it's been the same thing for like when they played Man City in the final. Was that 3-4 years ago?
2 years ago. 2
years ago. Like it just comes out.
It just makes football longer. Seriously.
Let's be honest here. Like I know you all both watched the full match. You might not remember exactly what happened, but Inter was the better team. It's just that they just had just our favorite player, Romelu Lukaku, up there.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah.
They defended 100%.
Literally, they played a much better game than City. And City played, obviously, like the saying, like finals are boring. That's just like because no one wants to take risks, no one wants to open it up a little bit just in case they get countered. But Inter was controlling that entire game for the most part, and they put some stuff on the platter for Lukaku. I think he had at least 2 chances that he should have buried and killed that game. And now that I think they've kind of like they've definitely adjusted since then. I feel that they've gotten, maybe we can even argue, a little bit better, a little bit more, I guess, settled in their play style. I think they could do it. Like, if I don't know about you all. I'd love to hear your predictions, but I think they can do it, guys.
Yeah, I'm obviously biased as a PSG fan, but I mean, Inter is no team to underestimate. Actually, like the way they play as well. I know like people like tend to be like, oh, it's too defensive or whatnot. It's not kind of ugly, but I actually like it. I think it's very to the point, and I just love how they counter and how they. And I love, for example, Bastoni, like the way they use him. Like he's a center back, but this guy's passing range and this guy's vision is insane. I feel like he's very stepped on. DeMarco also on that left, like wing back kind of role. He's quick. He's strong. He has also amazing precision on the ball. I think also going to be a great time because it's two opposing styles, right? You have like one of the best offenses in Europe and one of the best defenses. It's going to come down to, obviously if PSG can break them down, and how they handle being countered, right? I like Pacho, I like Marquinhos, but they tend to kind of have some kind of moments where they're a bit unfocused, especially on the left side. Mendes, he's great going forward, but going like defensively, he's a bit of a liability. He's been a bit shaky, so it's going to be a bit tough as well. I don't know who's on the right side. Probably going to be
Hakimi now.
Hakimi?
No, I'm saying for Inter.
Dumfries.
Dumfries. Yeah.
He's a problem. It's incredible, right? Like, it is incredible, the talent that we're talking about in this final. Yeah. I also, I mean, and it is to your point, PSG is a possession-based team. They like having the ball. Inter, much more comfortable on the counterattack. So which style is going to beat out, especially in a final, right? Possession, which is by its very nature more conservative, might sort of be more fatal in a final than sort of looking on the counterattack, especially because they no longer have Lukaku. They've replaced him with Thuram, who is incredible, especially with his link-up play with Lautaro Martinez. It is a blast from the past, right? I mean, we were talking a little bit about that sort of flair. They both have that. They both try new things, but also that two-striker, 2-4 pairing is lost, but brilliant. And I want PSG to win because I think that it would cause probably better equity for the European game in general. But I just think that, like, it's really going to come down to actually a mistake, probably.
Also, we spoke of oddities and kind of weird stuff in football. The last time a French team won the Champions League, and the only time was Marseille. They played an Italian team, AC Milan, and Germany as well.
Oh,
and again, and that was '93, and now 32 years later, again, same thing. French team, Italian team, play in Munich. So we'll see. I hope that history is going to repeat itself.
Although, speaking of history, I mean, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself in this case. The Marseille final is heavily contested because of the cheating scandal that I think Raf didn't mention for some reason. The 1993 Champions League was mired in that type of stuff. But yeah,
that's very true.
100%. So I do think that PSG, winning it legally with Qatari money is the way to go. They do it ethically. They do it the right way. They didn't spend 75 million euros in the winter.
No. Who's counting?
No. I love the way they play. I do find it so funny. It's like, I mean, can you believe it? They play like a real team. It's like, yeah, team, but like they still have so much money to toss around. But to bring it back to just the beginning and what you were saying about when you're good, you're good. Tactical adaptability this is why people are focused on tactical adaptability. It does suck because you lose that flair for the game. But then when Unai Emery puts 8 at the back, you're not just completely dumbfounded as to how to break that down. I mean, no one would be able to break that down, but you know what I mean. Unai Emery is a wild genius. Guys, I will hear your Premier League predictions. I will get that, but not this week. This week has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you guys for joining me. We will be back. But for now, have fun and be watching football. Peace.